Imagine this. I'm standing in my backyard, the morning sun barely filtering through the Charlotte pines, when my 10-year-old daughter, Emma, gasps for air like she sprinted a mile. Her oxygen liner lifeline is sliced clean in half. And there, slipping away with garden shears glinting in her hand, is my HOA nightmare, Susan. But hold on, because 5 minutes later, the sky erupts with the roar of 3 Black Hawk helicopters swooping in like they're straight out of a blockbuster. Insane, right? Grab a coffee, this story will blow your mind. What would you do if someone targeted your family over a petty rule? I'm Nathan Brooks, 42, a single dad who's seen plenty of chaos, from desert deployments to managing supply chains at Fort Bragg, just a short drive from our Charlotte suburb. My world revolves around Emma, my little artist with lungs that betray her daily due to a rare condition that makes breathing a constant battle. Her oxygen machine, a noisy beast, trails a long tube to the backyard where she sketches her quirky cartoon creatures. To me, that tube's invisible. To Susan, it's a crime against neighborhood perfection. We live in Crestwood Pines, a Charlotte suburb that looks like it was plucked from a real estate at perfect lawns, matching mailboxes, and an HOA that treats your grass like it's a national security issue. Enter Susan Mitchell, 50, the self-appointed queen of Crestwood. Everyone calls her Susan, but she's the kind of person who'd make you regret moving in. At 5 feet 8 inches, with a perm that laughs at gravity and a smile that screams, "I'm calling the cops," she's HOA tyranny personified. Her mission: keep Crestwood pristine. Her target: Emma's oxygen tube, which she claims ruins the aesthetic. We moved here 6 months ago for a fresh start after Emma's last hospital scare. I'm no stranger to tough spots. 10 years in the Army taught me to dodge bullets and red tape, but Susan's a new kind of enemy. Day 1, she's at my door, clipboard in hand, griping that my truck's parked 2 inches off the curb. Week 2, it's my recycling bin's visibility. By month 3, she's obsessed with Emma's tube, which stretches from our house to a patio where Emma sketches under an oak. I tried reasoning with her big mistake. I invited her over, showed her Emma's medical records, offered to let her speak to the doctor. Her response? If she's that sick, keep her indoors where she belongs. The air turned icy. I'm patient. Fort Bragg logistics will do that to you, but Susan was pushing me. She launched a crusade, daily emails about violations, fines for non-compliant landscaping, and whispers to neighbors that I'm trouble. Some stopped waving. Emma noticed. "Dad, why's everyone mad?" she asked one night, her big eyes searching mine. It broke my heart. Susan wasn't just annoying, she was relentless, snapping photos of Emma's tube like it was evidence in a crime scene. I caught her lecturing my neighbor, Jack, about how the Brooks situation was tanking home values. Jack's a good guy, ex-Marine, but even he shrugged, like, what can you do? Susan had the HOA board in her pocket, calling emergency meetings to rant about us. "Nathan's making us look like a charity case," she'd say. Charity case? I'm just keeping my kid alive. The worst part? She got to Emma not directly, thank God, but kids hear things. One day, Emma came inside, her sketchpad untouched, and whispered, "Mrs. Mitchell says my tube's ugly. Am I ruining the street?" I hugged her tight, told her she's the best thing in Crestwood, but inside, I was boiling. Susan was making my daughter feel like a problem. This wasn't just HOA nonsense, it was war. I fought back quietly. Installed a military-grade security camera, crystal clear. Saved every email, fine, and nasty note. Talked to Jack, who hinted that Fort Bragg's training unit owed him a favor. "Want a show?" "I can make it happen," he grinned. I didn't know what he meant, but I kept it in mind. Susan thought she had me cornered, but she didn't know who she was dealing with. A dad with a sick kid and a decade in the Army doesn't back down. So, what's your wildest HOA story? Drop it below, I know you've got one. Stick around, because this Susan saga gets wilder, and the Black Hawk showdown will leave you speechless. Susan wasn't playing checkers, she was playing chess, and I was her favorite pawn to knock off. After her early attacks on Emma's tube, she went scorched earth. Crestwood Pines started feeling like a prison camp with Susan as warden. My days at Fort Bragg, juggling logistics, were easier than dodging her HOA ambushes. One morning, I'm sipping coffee, craving 5 minutes of peace, when my phone pings an HOA email titled, "Immediate Action Required, Non-Compliant Medical Equipment." My stomach drops. It demands I remove Emma's tube within 24 hours or face legal action, including property seizure. Seizure? For a medical device? Susan's digital signature screams in all caps, with a jab about certain residents dragging down Crestwood's reputation. I march to her house, papers in hand, ready to talk sense. Her place is a shrine to bad taste plastic flamingos, a swan-shaped mailbox, a live, laugh, love sign begging for mercy. She answers, her perm defying physics, and cuts me off. Nathan, I'm busy. That tube's an eyesore, and you're lucky we've been lenient. Lenient? I hold up Emma's records, explain why the tube's non-negotiable. Rules are rules, she snaps. Maybe you bent them in the army, but not here. I'm stunned turned my kid's survival into a power trip. I check the HOA bylaws, hoping she's bluffing. Nope, the fine print's so vague. Susan can do whatever she wants under community standards. Emma watches me from the couch, her tube coiled like a lifeline, and asks, "Everything okay, Dad?" I force a smile. "Just grown-up stuff, kiddo." But I'm screaming inside. Susan calls an HOA meeting, and I'm the main agenda item. I expect a discussion, but it's a lynching. Susan's got a PowerPoint titled, Preserving Crestwood's Value. Slide 1. A blurry photo of Emma's tube, captioned, Unacceptable Visual Pollution. Slide 2. A graph claiming our house is tanking property values. Neighbors nod like zombies or avoid my eyes. Susan paces like a TV lawyer. "This isn't personal," she says, staring at me, "but some residents are making Crestwood look like a hospital ward." A guy, Greg, pipes up, "Yeah, it's not safe." Safe? It's oxygen, not a gas leak. I stand, voice steady. My daughter needs that tube to breathe. Anyone got a problem with that? Silence. Susan smirks. "We'll vote on enforcement next week." That night, I pace my kitchen, Emma's machine humming. I call Jack, who's heard my rants. "She's escalating, man," I say. "She's got everyone thinking Emma's a liability." Jack laughs, the kind that means trouble's brewing. "Nathan, you're a soldier. Change the battlefield. I know guys who owe me. Ever seen a Blackhawk up close? I don't know what he's planning, but I trust him. Jack once got a tank to a bar for a prank." Susan keeps pushing, her HOA minions snapping photos of my backyard like paparazzi. One posts them on the Crestwood Facebook group. Who wants to live next to this? It's Emma's tube, framed like a crime scene. Comments pile up. Disgusting. Move to a trailer park. Emma sees it before I can delete the app. "Dad, am I making the street ugly?" She whispers, eyes wet. I kneel, heartbreaking. "You're making it beautiful, kiddo. They're jealous of your art. But I'm done playing nice." I set my military camera to record 24/7, catching every detail. Susan calls the city, claiming Emma's machine is a fire hazard. I spend a day off work proving it's not, showing certifications to an inspector who mutters, "She does this all the time." My boss at Fort Bragg isn't thrilled about my distractions. I'm stretched thin, Emma's hurting, and Susan's winning, so she thinks. The storm hits on a Saturday at 6 a.m. I'm half awake, pouring coffee, when Emma screams from the backyard, not playful, terrified. I drop the mug, ceramic shattering, and sprint outside. Emma's in her patio chair, clutching her chest, face pale as milk. Her tube sliced in half, hissing air. "Dad, I can't breathe," she chokes. I grab the backup canister, hook it up with shaking hands, and watch her color return. My heart's pounding, but I check the camera feed. There's Susan, in a black hoodie, sneaking into my yard at dawn, shears glinting. She smirks at the camera and snips the tube. My blood turns to ice. This isn't petty, it's attempted murder. I'm about to storm her house when Jack texts, "Check the sky." Now, I step outside, Emma's safe with the backup, and hear a thundering roar. 3 Blackhawks from Fort Bragg burst over the tree line, flying so low the ground shakes, windows rattle, dogs howl. Neighbors spill onto lawns, mouths agape. Susan stumbles out, still in curlers, face wider than Emma's was. The choppers circle, blades slicing the comm, and Jack's truck pulls up. He hops out, grinning, flanked by a dozen camo-clad vets from the base. "Morning, Nathan," he says, loud enough for Susan to hear. "Heard someone's messing with a soldier's family. Bad move." Susan's frozen, clutching her rope. Neighbors whisper, pointing, and I feel the tide turning. My phone's blowing up texts from the Facebook group. Is this about the Brooks? I look at Susan, her smirk gone, and think, you wanted war. You got it. With Blackhawks buzzing like angry hornets, Susan's reign was crumbling faster than her perm. My backyard had gone from quiet to a Michael Bay set because she thought snipping Emma's tube was a power move. Emma was safe, but I was livid. Susan stood on her lawn, looking like she'd seen a ghost, while neighbors gawked and Jack led his vet crew like a general. I grabbed my phone, hand shaky, and pulled up the footage. Susan, clear as day, cutting Emma's tube. I'd saved every email, fine, and rant, but this was the knockout punch. Jack tossed me a USB drive. Ready to go viral? My buddy runs a military family forum. This'll spread like wildfire. I nodded, feeling control for the first time in weeks. Inside, careful not to disturb Emma coloring on the couch, I asked, "You okay, kiddo?" She smiled, oblivious to the chaos. "Are those your work helicopters, Dad?" I laughed. Something like that. I uploaded the video to the forum, my post raw. My neighbor cut my daughter's oxygen line because it looks bad. She's 10 and needs it to breathe. This is her in my yard. I attached the footage and hit send, heart pounding like basic training. Minutes later, it exploded 50 shares, then 500, then thousands. Comments flooded, sickening. Who does this to a kid? Soldiers, spouses, strangers shared it across Facebook, Twitter, Reddit. A news station was tagged, a veterans group linked. Views hit 10,000 in an hour. Susan had no idea what she'd unleashed. Outside, the Blackhawks landed in a field. Jack's training exercise, he winked. Crestwood was chaos, neighbors filming, Susan yelling at Jack's crew. This is private property. Jack, 6 feet 4 inches and calm, strolled over. Ma'am, we're ensuring a military family's safety. Know anything about threats? Susan's face went purple, her mob crumbling. I stepped forward, phone in hand. Susan, want to explain why you were in my yard with shears? Her head snapped to me, fear in her eyes. "You don't know what you're talking about," she stammered. I turned to the crowd. I've got it on camera. She cut Emma's oxygen line. She could have died. Gasps rippled. Greg, who'd backed Susan, looked sick. A neighbor, Mrs. Larson, spoke up. "Is that true, Susan? You did that to a child?" Susan spluttered, but her allies were gone. Jack's crew handed out flyers printouts of my post with Susan's smirking face. "This is your HOA president," one vet said. "Okay with this?" Neighbors shook their heads, some apologizing. Mrs. Larson marched over, teary. "Nathan, I thought it was just rules." "I'm so sorry." Others followed, admitting Susan's bullying, finding one for a barking dog, threatening another over fence color. Crestwood was waking up. I called a lawyer friend from Fort Bragg's legal aid, who'd offered pro bono help. I sent the video, recordings, and emails. "This is enough," he said. "Vandalism, endangering a minor, may be worse. Want to sue the HOA? I thought of Emma. Just nail her." He'd file by Monday. As the choppers powered down, I looked at Susan, alone on her lawn, her flamingos sadder than ever. My phone buzzed, news outlets calling, a post at 50,000 views. Neighbors texted apologies, offered to help with Emma's costs. I wasn't just fighting for Emma, I was fighting for everyone Susan crushed. By Monday, the HOA held an emergency meeting, Susan absent, her resignation email citing personal reasons. The room buzzed with neighbors who'd seen the video. Mrs. Larson stood. "Susan endangered a child. She can't lead us." Greg mumbled an apology and moved to vote her out. My lawyer, Rachel, filed charges: vandalism, endangering a minor, emotional distress. Wednesday, Susan was in court, fake tears claiming a misunderstanding. The judge wasn't buying it. $10,000 fine, Emma's medical bills, $5,000 punitive damages. She sold her house and vanished. The real win was Crestwood. The HOA, led by Mrs. Larson, rewrote bylaws, adding Emma's rule to protect medical needs. I teared up. Neighbors brought casseroles, toys, a sketchpad from Greg, who admitted he'd feared Susan. "Better late than never," I said, clinking beers. Emma was back sketching, her tube glinting in the sun. "Dad, it's nice here now," she said. That was worth more than any lawsuit. The forum post hit 1 million views, shared by military families, disability advocates, even a senator. Strangers sent Emma cards, stuffed animals, crayons. Jack's crew got a news segment as Blackhawk heroes. Fort Bragg checked on us. My boss gave me a week off. "You did good, Brooks." Crestwood wasn't just a placey, it was home. Susan learned you don't bully a soldier's family. I bet she still checks the sky for choppers. So, what's your wildest neighbor story? Share below. I know you've got a Susan out there.